Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thanksgiving week in the NFL, otherwise known as Week 13, where we get 3 Thursday night games to help celebrate the, we won't get into that in particular, but we have extra games because no one's on a bye week anymore. Week 12 was the last week for byes, and it was also a week where we went 10-3 and did quite well, actually, in our picks, and we're sitting at a record of 113-66 right now. Let's keep on trying to improve on that, and we're going to do so by jumping straight into our first game, which is the Bears at the Lions, our annual game in Detroit for Thanksgiving. We're going to take the Bears to win this game, though. It seems like Mitch Trubisky is starting to get it together a little bit. The Bears in general are starting to get it together a little bit. They almost let the Giants back in last week, but, you know, it's the Bears. What do you expect? The Lions, on the other hand, lost to the Redskins. Driscoll magic is kind of starting to fade a little bit. I don't think that they match up very well. Their defense has not been great. It's allowed a lot of yards to running backs, and quarterbacks have had very nice days against them as well. For those reasons, as shocking as it is to say, I think Mitch Trubisky is a key player here and actually helps them win this game. Let's do it by a score of 28-27. Chicago wins in Detroit. And our next game on the docket is the Buffalo Bills at the Dallas Cowboys, which I think will be a very, very fun game for all you afternoon dinner eaters. Buffalo's a great, great team, playing some great defense, playing good offense as well. For those of you who don't know, actually, John Brown is the leading receiver in the AFC right now, in a conference that has Odell Beckham Jr. and Juju. Well, he's been hurt. Juju has been hurt. But nonetheless, out of all the teams in the NFL, would you have thought that John Brown is leading, a Buffalo receiver is leading in anything? So kudos go out to the Bills for being honestly one of the most fun teams to watch this year as well. But they are going against the Dallas Cowboys, who are coming off of a controversy-laden game against the New England Patriots. I think the Cowboys win this game at home, though. They got a bad taste in their mouth. They're going to take it out on Buffalo. Not a blowout to say, but it'll be a bludgeoning of a game, in my opinion. I think the Dallas defense is actually equipped to kind of stop the bigger type quarterback that Josh Allen is. But please tune into, if you watch any of the 3 games on Thursday, please watch this one, especially those of you who don't watch Buffalo. Buffalo is such a fun team, and I hope they make the playoffs. I hope they make a run. I'm very excited to watch this team going forward, but the Cowboys win this one. They just run all over Buffalo with Zeke. And Dak will probably throw a couple of touchdowns in there as well. They need a statement win. I think that they get it here. Let's do 28-21. And our third and final Thursday night game on this one will be the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to take the Saints in this one, just as we did in the first meeting. I don't think Atlanta is going to have the defensive performance they did last time against the Saints. The Saints, I think, can actually even clinch the division. They can clinch the NFC South with a win this week and some other things happening. But it's week 13, we're already talking about playoff clinching. So that's pretty insane. Drew Brees has been playing very well after coming back from the injury. In fact, by watching it, you'd never even think that he was injured. Michael Thomas is having one of the greatest runs a wide receiver has ever had in the history of this league, with different quarterbacks, albeit too, especially this season. Atlanta is starting to piece things together, but, I mean, they got trounced by Tampa Bay last week. Good things can only last for so long, and I'm happy Atlanta got a little bit of light there, but I think the New Orleans Saints close the door on their season here and win by a score of 42-28. And now we move on to our Sunday games. We are going to be looking at the Titans at the Colts here. I'm going to take the Colts to win this one, despite how well Ryan Tannehill has played, despite how well the Titans as a team have played, and they've actually become more predictable as well. My issues with the Titans are starting to fade with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I think that the Colts, after losing that Thursday night game to the Texans, know they need to win this game. Especially since, I mean, we'll get to the Texans game, but considering who the Texans are playing this week is probably the best opportunity for the Colts to get back into the division race. But when you look at it from the Titans side as well, if the Titans win, they are right back in the race. I think they'll be tied for first if the Texans lose as well. So, all of those things being said, the Colts have beaten up on the Titans in the recent years. I'm pretty sure they've won their last 4 or 5 or something like that, maybe 4 of 5. I'm not picking against Jacoby Brissett in this situation, so I'm going to do it by a score of 17-16, a very close one, but the Colts pull away at the end. All right, we got a kind of hard game to predict here. This is the Jets at the Bengals. Bengals are going back to Andy Dalton, and they might have A.J. Green. We don't know if they're shutting him down for the year. Knowing my luck, he'll come back for the Cleveland game. But we got Sam Darnold versus Andy Dalton. I'm going to take the Jets just because they're hot right now. I called the upset. I just didn't pick them. I wish I would have picked them. But the Jets did beat the Raiders. They smacked the Raiders last week. I don't think the Bengals have the defensive talent to stop how well the Jets' offense is playing right now. And that's the only reason why I'm picking them. Otherwise, honestly, I'd pick the Bengals. Especially if the Jets would have lost the Raiders. I actually would have picked the Bengals. This is another game that I'm like, oh, the Bengals might actually win this game. But they also played the Dolphins in Week 16. So the Bengals might win one game, but I don't think it'll be this one. I think Sam Darnold keeps up this very nice stretch of games, actually. And he might even carry it out through the rest of the season because their schedule is actually pretty easy for the rest of the year. I just think he keeps on rolling here. 35-28, Jets on top. And we got the Redskins at the Panthers. We're going to take the Panthers to win this one as well. The Redskins have given up a lot of yards to running backs, and the Panthers are probably the worst team for you to play right now as far as like teams that overuse their running back. Christian McCaffrey is on an absolute tear. He is doing wonders for my fantasy team, I can tell you that much. He's a joy to watch. I'm very happy watching this Panthers team with Kyle Allen. You know, it's a young, scrappy team. They're a lot of fun to watch, but the Redskins are also a fun team to watch, and they will get it figured out eventually. Dwayne Haskins, he's a little bit slow in processing a lot of stuff right now. Panthers have a pretty good defense. That's what's going to take them over here. I think the Panthers are going to put up a lot of points here, but it won't be as bad of a score. Like the score will not translate how the game played out because I think it'll be close for most of it, but I think the Panthers are going to pull away 38-20 in this one. And now we got what a lot of people are thinking might be a game of the year in the 49ers at the Ravens. I am going to undoubtedly pick the Baltimore Ravens to win this game for one reason. There is one quarterback so far this year that has given San Francisco absolute fits. And once I'd call it a fluke, but twice it starts becoming a pattern. I know it's 3 times it becomes a pattern, but we only see him twice against the Niners. And that's Kyler Murray, who is a more mobile quarterback with a nice arm. Kyler Murray is a more accurate quarterback than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson is a better football player at this point, mainly because of experience in the team that he plays on. Let's be real. The Baltimore Ravens were a playoff team essentially when they drafted Lamar Jackson. He got put into a perfect situation with a perfect offensive coordinator, with a perfect coach, and I'm so happy for his success. It's actually really refreshing to watch an offense run like this that looks sustainable. It really does look sustainable, and Mark Ingram is a really big part of that. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to give this defense absolute fits. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I mean, I'm for sure picking the Ravens only because the 49ers have shown a weakness in defending these types of quarterbacks. No one's really stopping the Ravens right now. Short week, maybe, but I think it'll be like a 28-27 win for the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to get close to clinching their division as well. So be careful of the Ravens in the playoffs. And the 49ers, again, I'm not jumping off the 49er hype train, but I think the Ravens are the more equipped team to win in this situation strictly based on matchups. We got the Buccaneers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars, who finally get their offense rolling a little bit. The transition to Nick Foles has not gone great. It's actually gone awful because they were putting up great numbers with Gardner Minshew, and then it got derailed because Nick Foles is a completely different type of quarterback. Tampa Bay is a great defense to get a quarterback rolling against, though. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the league. I see Nick Foles going all over that defense. Leonard Fournette might have some issues because Tampa Bay is such a weird team. They're one of the best in the league against the run, and they're one of the worst against the pass. You know, it's crazy. Which actually, I mean, despite being so good against the run, they're probably ranked in the bottom 15 because they're so bad against the pass. Tampa Bay had a great win last week, and they're doing some really, really nice things, but this isn't Atlanta. Like, Jacksonville's defense is a little bit better than Atlanta's defense. I don't think Godwin goes for 170 and 2 touchdowns, or Evans goes for that. I think Jameis maybe throws 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, something like that. I mean, I'm looking at a final score of maybe 32-21 in this one. We got the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't have Mason Rudolph in this game. We don't have Myles Garrett in this game. People are still talking about that. I don't think it's going to be a very harsh game for either team. I think both teams just wants to get past this. They don't want to talk about Myles Garrett or Mason Rudolph anymore. Hodges is going to be starting this game. I'm back and forth. I watched the tape back on Hodges a little bit. He got help from his defense to win that game against the Chargers, and the Chargers actually almost came back and won that game. My gut says that the Steelers will win this game. My heart says the Browns will win this game because they are also playing very well, albeit against some really not great teams. But with the flip of the coin, it's not really a flip of the coin, but my rule of thumb is when I can't decide which team to pick, I go with the home team. They just have a little bit more of an innate advantage. So I'm going to pick the Steelers in an overtime win, 20-23 over the Cleveland Browns, possibly ending their playoff hopes here. That's not to say the Browns can't win this game. They definitely can win this game, but the Steelers absolutely do not count out the Steelers. They are the 6th seed in the AFC for a reason. Mike Tomlin has been an incredible coach this year in keeping this team afloat. But if they do lose this game, they're probably, whoever loses this game's out of the playoffs, pretty much, is out of the playoff race. Cleveland has to win this game. Pittsburgh can get by. But if Pittsburgh loses, they're going to have to get ahead of Cleveland. It's a whole ins and outs and ifs and whens and all that. So we're not getting too much into that. Steelers win in overtime in this one. We've got the Green Bay Packers at the New York Football Giants, and the Packers are going to roll in this one. The Giants are awful. Again, I say it every week. They're a building team. Daniel Jones will get there. He played pretty well against the Bears last week, actually, I will say. I think people aren't going to crap on that pick as much as they did in the offseason because, he's better than Eli Manning. So that's all you can really ask for. They'll have another high pick. They're going to be building. The Packers need a feel-good game. This is the feel-good game. I don't feel the need to spend much more time on this one. I think the Packers win 42-13. It's going to be ugly in this one, but the Packers need it, certainly after what happened on Sunday night. Welcome to this week's edition of I'm Not Spending Very Long on This Game. It's the Eagles at the Dolphins. Eagles win 31-17 and keep their playoff hopes alive as well as they lost that stinker last week to Seattle. Miami is that team that plays well but just kind of always seems to lose. I think they lose again this week. Alrighty, we got the Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. This is another tricky one because the Rams have been awful in the last couple of weeks. Their offensive line is blown up, blown to shreds. My notes have one team picked. I am changing my pick here. I'm picking the Arizona Cardinals to win this game because Terrell Suggs, Chandler Jones, the rest of that defensive line are going to feast on this offensive line, who is probably the worst in football right now because of all the injuries they have. Todd Gurley can't get it going. Jared Goff has looked abysmal in the last couple of weeks because they can't run the ball. This spells doom for the Rams. And the Cardinals have put together competitive games. They're not getting blown out. They're a young team that's lacking talent on the defensive end of the ball. They have guys who I don't feel are 100% into the game at this point. But they get Chase Edmonds back. The Rams have been giving up yards on the ground like crazy. Kenyon Drake, this might be another big game for you. Kyler Murray might be a huge game for you. I'm picking the Cardinals in an upset this week by a score of 27-16. Now we've got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. I'm picking the Chargers to win this game, mostly because of the regression of Brandon Allen, who started out really great against Cleveland and has kind of gotten worse every single week. The Chargers lost a heartbreaker last week in Mexico. 2 weeks ago in Mexico because they had their bye week. Coming off of the bye week, I expect them to get right back at it. They need to stay alive in this playoff hunt. Oakland losing last week certainly helps them with that. But I still feel Phillip Rivers might have one last little push in it. They might not actually make the playoffs, but it will start here against Vic Fangio's defense, which gave him tons of trouble last time they played. Maybe I should take the Broncos. Can't switch now. I'm taking the Chargers, though would not be surprised if the Broncos win this one. Let's do 16-17. All right, we've got the Raiders at the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs to win this one. They also need to put a little bit of a push together because if they lose, Oakland is right back in the division race. This is what the end of the season is all about. You got to win your division and win these late games, December, late November games. Patrick Mahomes is kind of built for this, isn't he? Patrick Mahomes has an extra week to rest. Some of the other pieces on the offense have another week to rest. Tyreek Hill in particular. I see Patrick Mahomes going off. I think it'll be 35-21. Let's do 38-28. The Chiefs on top on this one. Losing Hunter Renfrow has not been great. Derek Carr is awful in the cold, too. He's 0-4 with a terrible quarterback rating in games under 30 degrees, which is what the temperature of this Chiefs game is going to be. spells doom for the Raiders. I'm taking the Chiefs in this one. And now we've got Sunday Night Football, the Patriots at the Texans. Texans coming off of a great win against the Indianapolis Colts. The Patriots coming off of a win of their own, and they will keep rolling. They are going to beat the Texans here and get a stranglehold on that first overall seed in the AFC. It's the defense. Even though the offense of New England has not been great this year, I do not trust the defense of the Texans at all. They're turning into the Titans. The Texans are turning into the Titans when it comes to playing against good teams. They laid an egg against the Ravens, and if you can't do anything against the Ravens, I'm not going to pick you to beat the Patriots. It's just not going to happen. This is more of a biased pick for me because I rarely pick against the Patriots. I don't think I have this year. I mean, they've only lost one game. It's worked out pretty well for me so far. Even though it's in Houston, it's a dome. 28-3 happened in this stadium. I think Tom Brady gets it done, and they win a entertaining game, 31-21. And our final game of the week, our 16th game of the week, the Vikings at the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. I'm taking the Seahawks. I think that they're going to start to pull away, especially if the Niners lose. They know they'll need to win this game, and it'll actually put them tied with the division lead, I believe, for the NFC West. The Vikings still have played some great football lately. Primetime games, Seattle just doesn't lose them, though. So I'm going to roll with Seattle and take them to win this game 28-27. And that was my picks for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you next week as well. Be sure to subscribe and comment down below any video suggestions you have or comments just on the video in general. The record will be over here as always, and my Twitter will be over here as always, even though they tend to flip-flop back and forth a little bit. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Black Friday, and we'll see y'all next week for the Week 14 picks. Thank you very much.